Well, thank you very much for bearing with. It is lovely to be back, and it is Montreal today for the Silver League Vortex F1 Racing League finale. Now, today, we have two championship fights on our hands, Williams and Ferrari, 8 points between them. And then, in the Drivers' Championship, Hijab and Thomas Genghis, two drivers you will see both joining us today, with 21 points between them. Which means, if Hijab gets P7 or upwards, then it can't be won by Thomas. But if Thomas wins, and Hijab falls down to P8 or below, it's all his. Now, we'll see qualifying. Drivers already rushing out. First one being Vikings in that Ferrari. Now, while there's been some great racing in the Australian season opener for Real F1, this looks to be, I dare say it, more exciting. So, Vikings completing the outlap, you'll see, being nice and gentle on the tyres for the sake of tyre degradation around Canada. Very, very high, you'll see in the race. But this leads to quite a few pit stops, and the track limits here being especially difficult to stay within. Now, through the chicane at the Wall of Champions, there are so many real F1 World Champions having crashed into that final wall, and now turn one. Straight on the brakes for Vikings. Now the center turn of turn two. Of course, we're in French-speaking Canada, so it's called a virage Senna. Now, Pont de la Concorde, turns 3 and 4. Very fast right-hander, turning into a left-hand. Now turn 6, trying to get over that inside curb to reduce distance for turn 7. Don't wash too wide here or you'll hit that barrier. Now turns 8 and 9. Nice and safe from the Ferrari, making sure it's within those track limits. The Sector 1 was purple, but has been beaten now. Purple Sector 2. And now, the part that makes or breaks a lap. The Wall of Champions too far over turn 14. And that is exactly what we're on about. Invalid from Vikings. We'll keep an eye on the rest of the grid here. As you can see, Jack Tempest, one of our 15 drivers, has all shut down in the Williams with a 1 minute 10.7. Hayes very quickly beats it by 3 or so tenths with a 10.438. Thomas Genghis beating it even further. Our championship contender going provisional pole with a 10.393. And Sphinx going 10.8. Jack Tempest at 12.8. What about T-Rex behind him in the Aston Martin? As Shaggy goes first, T-Rex beats it once more. The Aston Martin going 10.0 with Shaggy 10.2. Of course, you can tell it's last year's Aston Martin because it's at least slightly competitive. Stone Cold with an 11.3 slots himself in to P7. And we now wait as Hijab, our current championship leader, remains in the pits. Didn't quite fancy it yet. As Williams to conquer. Over the line now goes P8 with a 12.832. Holds Mungo now, the Mercedes. May have invalidated that one. Or maybe going for a fast lap now. Keeping an eye. Okay. As Bloomstar comes into the pits, unhappy with his attempt, same with Outlaw. So far we have 9 drivers who've managed a lap. All's Mungo. Looks to be on a fast attempt. We'll see now, as he either chooses to cross the line or join the pit lane. Indeed, he's choosing to cross the line. A great attempt there at the Wall of Champions. Very close to the limit, and over the line he comes. The Mercedes slots into 4th. A 10.419, not shabby at all. So, all shot down on an outlap. So is Outlaw, and so is Lewis. VFRL Lewis. Farrell. So, the Haas driver, having not yet put in an attempt, we'll keep an eye on these outlap drivers as we go through, and it is Outlaw that will be leading them, so we'll keep an eye on him. And we'll ride on board as the Red Bull starts the lap, comes through the Wall of Champions. Same place it'll end. Under the limit there, making sure not to invalidate before the attempt even begins. Great to see Sly Suzuki watching on. As Outlaw slightly misses the apex of the first half of Pont de la Concorde, but recovers well. At the sector, only 0.3 behind T-Rex, not a bad start at all. Lewis coming through sector 1 now. You can see doing, I believe, maybe 2 warm-up laps. This one's invalid, unfortunately, for the Haas. First attempt, not going how he planned it to. As Hijab now, also on an outlap. We'll go straight to him the moment we see Outlaw's attempt. As it's those two that still, Hijab and Thomas, that still have a chance at the championship for the drivers. Now the Wall of Champions for Outlaw. Very safely done. Across the line for him. A very dependable 111.5. As we move straight to Hijab, the Williams driver that's done so well throughout the season, trying to seal it off here in Canada. Very aggressive line for the Wall of Champions, but as it should be. Through turn 1. So much inside curb. It's almost insane. Now turns 3 and 4, just as much curb taken. The bravery of this man. Now turn 6. It's a purple sector 1 by a 10th. T-Rex finding himself challenged. Thomas will have to step it up to compete with this. Bearing in mind that Hijab knows he has to bring home a stable performance today. Anything in the top 7 and he is safe. Thomas, though, as if he heard me, goes a 9.924. It was a yellow sector 2 for Hijab. The sector 1 remains faster than Thomas. That sector 2 not quite matching up. Now the Wall of Champions. And it's been such a clean lap so far. Is it enough? It is indeed a 9.662. 3/10 faster than Thomas. Provisional pole smashed once again. And our 2 championship contenders on the provisional front row. He's crossing the line himself. Sphinx. Another driver mid-lap in the turn 10 hairpin. It sets you up for this beautifully long straight. And I say straight, it's technically turn 11 and 12. But it's fully flat out. It's much straighter than it looks to be than any corner, and into the pits comes Sphinx. His 10.609 doesn't look like it's going to be beaten this time around. Jack Tempest and William DeConker also finding their way through. You can see how carefully they're navigating these corners. There's no point taking risks when you need a safe lap. Looks like many here taking it nice and steady. Some will be on in-laps, just like these drivers here, returning to the pits as T-Rex returns to improve on his 10.0, trying to find himself within this fight for the race win. A green sector 1 improvement, only just under a tenth slower than Hijab, which puts him on pace to potentially get provisionally second and be a spanner in the works for Thomas's title fight. Of course, we've already said winning today is not enough for the Red Bull. He has to also hope for a disappointing result on Hijab's side. Now over the wall of champions, very deep. The first half of that corner was an understeer that led him off the track in the second half. T-Rex, unfortunately, that attempt will not count on the timing sheets. Lewis taking it nice and slow as Vikings, a driver who was first out, who also invalidated on the track once more. Seems he's got the wall of champions sorted. Let's hope he gets it right under full push conditions, because Vikings is one of the two drivers who will contribute to the title fight for Ferrari today. It's up to him and Stone Cold to beat the Williams drivers of Hijab and All Shot Down by 8 points altogether if they want that Constructors. Of course, it will be no easy feat. That doesn't mean they won't aim for it. So, yellow sector 1. Only 3 tenths behind Hijab in sector 2, however. Some great pace being shown from Vikings here. It looks like yellow sectors, but it's only yellow in comparison to Hijab, as Vikings has not set times of his own yet. Slides very nicely through the Wall of Champions, giving himself a very early turn in to prepare. And over the line for him, it's P5. That final sector under the limit for the sake of safety, but he'll have time to go again. So a 10.356 sees him very nicely above All Shot Down, at least for the sake of the Constructors. We'll have a look now. Outlaw preparing himself. So is Sphinx. This Mercedes. One of the league owners having his hand at the competition. We'll see what he can achieve when given the track to himself. His Mercedes teammate comes out just ahead, hopefully not giving any dirty air. Through turns 3 and 4, teammate gets out the way. That is, of course, Holzmunger. And 5 tenths off in sector 1 is actually not too bad. There's so much battery remaining for Sphinx here. Through T8 and 9, the Mercedes washing only slightly wide, making use of that exit curb. It's often a good sign You're reaching the limit. A green sector 2, personal best for the Mercedes. The hairpin taking it very wide, setting himself up for a great late apex, depending on speed down this straight. The key part here will be what wing downforce level he has chosen. Lots of drivers go very low here. Sphinx begging to differ as through the wall of champions, DRS for the final time and over the line for the Mercedes. Unfortunately, a 10.609. It's a purple sector 3 though, so he's definitely one to look out for in the race. Meanwhile, our title fight contenders, Thomas and Hijab. Hijab not out yet, but coming out now. You can see the Williams with 2 minutes remaining, gambling on a lack of traffic. Shaggy P through turn 1. Very close on the apex of turn 2. Yeah, purple sector 1 from Shaggy. And green sector 2 still is on pace to beat Hijab. And over the wall of champions. Very aggressive. That first part of the curb is so narrow, you can get away with doing what looks like cutting it. And over the line, Shaggy just lost it in the final sector. But with only 1/10 between him and Hijab, sets himself up well. It will be absolutely crucial that Thomas does not find himself stuck behind someone else in his pursuit of the lead. Thomas gave himself an extra warm-up lap, and in the closing 25 seconds begins his fast lap now. Holzmunger locking up slightly through the turn 10 hairpin. As invalid now. And Hayes, for his attempt over the line, goes second, 9.705, beats Shaggy. And once again, and over the turn 9 goes Thomas. So that is invalid for Thomas and is not the best. Not the best starting position you could hope for. We'll look at Hijab now. And again, Hijab, one of the many who invalidate at the Wall of Champions. So the 9.662 will be his best attempt. And as many now have crossed the line, our two championship contenders are starting in first and in fourth. Okay, so Hijab taking our pole. Hayes alongside him on the front row. Shaggy in third with Thomas fourth. T-Rex in fifth with Vikings sixth. Hulls Mungo seventh. Allshot down eighth. Sphinx ninth. Bloomstar 10th. Stone Cold 11th. Outlaw 12th. Jack Tempest and Farrell Lewis in 13th and 14th. Williams to conquer, bringing up the rear. But with more to be seen from him for sure. The McLaren may just surprise us if consistency is the name of the game around here, which it very much is. Penalties are so easy to get. We saw how many laps were invalidated. As we get a great view of the pit lane. We're given a few minutes to prepare. While the drivers get ready to go. Any minute now. We get ready to go. Just a reminder, between the drivers, that being Hijab and Thomas, there are 21 points, which means Hijab, having started from pole, will most likely, if Thomas is to win, make a strategy mistake. Or maybe just some penalty mistakes. Too many penalties can find someone dropping down the order enough for that to happen. And in the constructors, 9 points between Williams and Ferrari. Well, there's so many scenarios in which either team could win that one. We'll just have to see how that evolves. And here we go. No formation lap needed. Here are the red lights. There go all 5. And away we go. Hijab for the first lap of the season finale. Here in Canada, the Williams, an absolutely storming start. Round the outside goes Thomas. Into turn 2. Finds himself almost into third. Doesn't quite make it that time. Viking and T-Rex behind, going side by side. Viking winning out on that one, but getting his first corner cutting warning. So Thomas has to make moves quickly as possible. He wants to find himself up in that first spot and get this championship. Shaggy and Hayes having a fight in the middle. No DRS for Hayes on Hijab. Hijab already out of that range. That's Hijab, of course, fastest lap. 1 minute 17, including the start procedure, not weak. William the Conquer and Nobody's Outlaw swapping around. Williams having made himself 2 positions. As Jack Tempest falls just behind Outlaw. There's a yellow flag from Thomas as our championship contender finds himself spun around after turn 10. That is a shame. Down to 15th for Thomas. The Red Bull, his work cut out for him now. The one yellow flag I didn't want to see. As Hijab takes away another fastest lap. Vikings with the first penalty of the session. We're 3 laps in, and that is 3 track limits warnings. It leads to a 3-second penalty. We'll take a look now at the tyres. Lots of mediums for the front of the field. Sphinx, Bloom Star, and Stone Cold on the hards, with William the Conqueror and Nobody's Outlaw following suit. Holds Mungo loses 2 spots there. The DRS make it 3. Down to 10th he goes. Is there an issue with that Mercedes? The answer doesn't seem to be yes. He's simply losing some pace. T-Rex and Vikings swapping around. The Aston Martin now into 4th. Again, not something that will be said by Crofty anytime soon. But it's said here. Shaggy and Hayes continue to brawl with Sphinx up in 7th. All shot down, small shake on the exit, turn 6. It's the Williams and Mercedes. Get ever closer. Another slide on the exit from All Shot Down and Sphinx taking full advantage, DRS included. With DRS active now. Shaggy P and Vikings. Shaggy P and T-Rex. No, Vikings and T-Rex, in fact. Shaggy P and Hayes being the ones that are fighting now. T-Rex got very close there. But ultimately, Sphinx back through. And Sphinx up to 5th this time. That's all shot down. Down in 8th. And T-Rex and Bloomstar, the two Aston Martins, in 6th and 7th. We have another yellow flag for a kick Sauber. It's Jack Tempest. Off in turn 1. Spun around. No damage to the car though, so lucky for him. Hijab continues about a second and a half ahead of the front. Shaggy keeps attempting to attack that McLaren. Doesn't get anywhere. But T-Rex still so close to Sphinx. The tyre differential will make a difference here. Sphinx on the hard tyres. But as these laps go on, that advantage will diminish and soon become a disadvantage. And around the outside goes T-Rex with the DRS. And T-Rex stays ahead now into turn 1 and 2. Now it's Shaggy continuing his assault on Hayes. All shot down and Stone Cold side by side in the turn 10. But ultimately, Stone Cold, the Ferrari, wins out on that one. Gets DRS as well as a result of being behind at the detection point. I made an overtake in the meantime. And T-Rex, the Aston Martin in 6th, also finds himself with a penalty. All shot down, doing the same. P9, that Williams in the constructors fight. So it's up to Stone Cold and Vikings to try together as Ferrari to get 9 points more than the combined Williams team. In the meantime, Thomas, a recovery drive for the ages ahead of him. And Hijab leading so comfortably, while Hayes and Shaggy squabble between them. VSC? What on earth has happened? As we have all shot down, spun around after turn 10. The Williams. Is he missing some front wing? No. Is anyone missing some front wing? We'll take a look. Not Jack Tempest. We do a nice front wing check every time the VSC comes out. Now, no clue what brought it out, but whoever had a broken front wing... Oh, never mind. It is all shot down, I think. I believe I saw a damaged end plate. We'll see now if that Williams crew is holding a front wing for him. Never mind. No front wing needed. Sphinx getting a drive through for speeding under that VSC. Very difficult to maintain the delta, but absolutely necessary. So, Many pit stops came through under that virtual safety car. The virtual safety car now gone. T-Rex trying to take advantage of these new hard tyres he's gone to. Into turn 10, the Aston Martin dives down the inside. Doesn't quite have the alongside, but he's given the space anyway. Williams to conquer. Feeling nice. And T-Rex flies through the tyres. Not making that one difficult for him. Sphinx coming into the pits now. Maybe a lap too late. Finding himself at more of a disadvantage than he expected. Hayes on the inside of Stone Cold. Gets himself a warning there. Wasn't quite close enough. And Hayes side by side in turn 3. Pont de la Concorde. Finding itself a battleground between these two. As Vikings is in the wall after turn 3. The Ferrari. I believe I saw some front wing damage from him. As a yellow flag comes out for Sector 1, now gone, and yes, indeed, that front wing about 50% vanished. Missing quite a bit of that one. That won't help his cornering at all. And Williams is up in 7th, didn't quite choose to pit though during that VSC, gone for some track position instead. Stone Cold and Hayes now finding themselves in a three-way fight. Shaggy P having a go as well. The Stone Cold, unfortunately with no DRS, gets left slightly in the dust. A Shaggy, now with a 3-second penalty. Bloomstar, the only driver ahead of them who did not pit. But Shaggy now hasn't got many chance of winning that fight if no one else gets a penalty. T-Rex, fastest lap. New hard tyres, new fastest lap makes complete sense. Thomas up in 12th. But so far would have to hope for a slight miracle for the conditions he needs for the championship. Lewis with a 3-second penalty as well. The Haas driver in 14th. Not having the easiest time of it. As Thomas does take fastest lap. Now up into 11th. As his teammate follows him through into 12th. Meanwhile, Bloomstar is going to get the DRS treatment from Hayes and Shaggy. The McLaren and the V-Carb. Not going to go easy on this one. We can see how much of an advantage those new tyres are. As through goes Hayes. Does Shaggy find his way through as well? Yes, he does. Into the Wall of Champions, a very compromised entry. And gets another warning. Shaggy racking them up here. Thomas. I told you he's got a recovery drive in his hands, but he's definitely going for it. Very close to making that move, an all shot down. Thought he'd attempt it, but went for the safer option. T-Rex also in a position to go for a fight as the Ferrari goes deep. Stone Cold on 10 lap all tyres. Hasn't got too much control of that anymore, and with DRS, the Aston Martin through. Small bit of a collision there. But it's all fun and games until T-Rex finds himself in 5th. Just behind his teammate, in fact, Bloomstar. The other driver yet to pit. Shaggy, aware of his 3-second penalty, playing it safer, giving himself a buffer behind him by using the DRS. Thomas once again so close to all shot down. But through the DRS zones, hasn't found an opening. Of course, the position will be given to him by penalties. But the main worry in his championship hopes this race is Hijab. 1.8 seconds ahead of Hayes, managing the tyres very nicely and simply cruising. Something will have to go wrong, which is what Thomas is counting on. T-Rex through on his teammate now. Aston Martin over Aston Martin. 11 lap old tyres on Bloomstar. Not the easiest to get by with. Luckily weather seems like it's going to be nice and controlled. As Shaggy gets himself another penalty. As we check penalties now, yes, that's 6 seconds for the V-Carb. The only driver so far to get to. Stone cold into the pits. Neither Ferrari pitted under that VSC, which may be a concern in the constructors because both Williams did. All shot down and Hijab took full advantage and may just as a result find themselves ahead in that fight. As if Hijab needed to be ahead in any other fight than the one he's currently in. Vikings also with a 3-second penalty. That makes 6 seconds for him as well. So Shaggy and Vikings have that one in common. A yellow flag as it's Jack Tempest once more. Finds himself in the barrier. Front wing, I would say, buried in the Crypto.com logo. But it's more like buried in the grass at this point. No front wing remaining. The Kick Sauber, I say this every time, looking like it has a rather large nose. I don't say it for nothing because it's very true. That will be a pit stop for the Sauber. And Hayes, at every attempt to get closer to Hijab, finds himself having to defend from that V-car behind. And into the pits comes Williams to conquer. And into the wall is Williams to conquer. As his McLaren too. Oh, never mind, it's Hayes. It's Hayes' McLaren bringing out the safety car. As his front wing too. No longer with us. Jack Tempest finds himself a 10-second penalty for a collision with Sphinx under safety car. So, into the pits comes Shaggy and Hayes Hijab, our race leader, leaving it alone this time, choosing to give the pit another lap of his time and wait on that one. His chance is now gone though, because he's found the safety car. So now the grid's going to catch up to him. And Hijab, on those very, very, well, comparably, they'll be worn. The Sphinx, also not in the pits. And these tyres are 15 laps old. Hayes gets a 3-second penalty. But worst of all, under safety car. The one time that pushing limits is completely unnecessary. It's the one time that he finds himself over them. Hayes once more over that turn 9. Reinterpreting the track limits however he sees fit. Brand new tyres and a brand new front wing for him. I'd thought it was Williams to Conquer that was in the wall there at first. I do wonder why Hijab didn't pit there. But I guess the problem is he started on the... Like, did he or did he not start on the mediums? I thought he had. I guess. Oh, as Hayes chooses to retire here. In the pits, there goes the McLaren. The penalty, too much for him to deal with. So, Hayes no longer with us. And the problem is, if Hijab had pitted under safety car, and he's gone for the regular allocation, which means medium, 2 sets of mediums and 1 set of hards, a set of mediums would not have lasted long enough. If he'd chosen the harder allocation, which would have been 2 sets of hards, 1 set of mediums, he could have done this. But here we are. He was not given much of a choice, and now pit strategies muddled across the grid. Some on the mediums, some on the hards, and the amount of laps they've been on them for, well, you can take a look for yourself. That's a bit of a haphazard affair. So, as the grid forms back up, we'll be given another lap or so. And Thomas is in 11th. He did choose to pit under this safety car. With 17 laps remaining, we are just over halfway. Safety car in this lap, which means it'll be Hijab's responsibility to take us away. It'll be up to him to choose when he wants us to resume, anytime between now and the timing line, where it becomes permissible to overtake regardless of how fast Hijab is going. He has to return to full speed before then if he wants any chance of maintaining. And here he goes on the very exit of the Wall of Champions. He decided to interrupt me. He's got the jump on me. He hasn't quite got the jump on Shaggy, the driver behind him, who stayed within 2/10. Sphinx, unfortunately, didn't manage to capitalize, but with 18 laps on those hard tires, goes deep into turn 2, loses the place to T-Rex almost instantly. And Bloomstar will have no issue getting past him at the right moment either. The drivers finding themselves held up as Outlaw also gets a penalty. That's his first. as Outlaw now. I think he had a spin through turn 6. And speaking of spin, Sphinx is off the track. The Mercedes in turn 9. In a very similar predicament to how Thomas Genghis was earlier on. And now Lewis, finding out how difficult it is to hold up a field with 11 laps of tyre wear. Shaggy. Now on him to try and get past the race leader, T-Rex, with another penalty. 6 seconds for him and Shaggy. As DRS is enabled once more. And for however long Hijab manages to keep these hard tyres alive. Shaggy goes deep in turn 4. Fond de la Concorde finding itself to be a very challenging area here. Through turn 9, Shaggy. No progress made just yet. How's the battery looking for Hijab? Not great. 38% there with 80 or so percent. Oh my goodness. 2 DNFs there. Does Outlaw see? No. Oh my goodness. No idea what happened there. But another safety car as Jack Tempest and Bloomstar collide. And Vikings getting a 10-second penalty for a collision with Stone Cold. His own teammate. The Ferraris clashing between them. As the safety car returns. Most likely won't be out for long. But it does give Hijab a chance to pit. Oh, okay, Vikings gets a 10-second penalty for speeding into the pits and indeed retires. So that's one Ferrari gone. One Ferrari remaining in the fight against 2 Williams for the constructors. So, safety cars out. Hijab and all shot down, catching up to the field now. And the back few. Looks like we'll get one more lap of safety car. Well, once again returning to racing, with this time not Hijab leading us away. It'll be Shaggy. And for the first time since the race has begun, Thomas is ahead of his championship rival Hijab on the track, of course, with 6 laps of tyre disadvantage. But if something was to happen to Hijab from here, his hopes are not entirely gone. Safety car in this time around. It will be leaving us Shaggy. After Hijab pitted, now in the lead. And it's up to him take us away. But of course, with 6 seconds of penalties and T-Rex having 6 seconds of penalties as well, these safety cars do not bode well for him. The grid catches up, and if we were to finish as it is right now, he would lose so many positions. He may not even get any points. In fact, I believe that would be the case. No points would be awarded. He'd be out of P10. Actually, no, he'd probably be P9 or 10, but away we go. Don't let me get in the way. As All Shot Down gets another 3-second penalty, Shaggy does catch the jump on T-Rex. We didn't quite get the sign. Stone Cold with 10 laps on those tyres. Goes deep into turn 2. But at least he carries the speed. Lewis has gone to soft tyres, as has Outlaw. So a very interesting strategy choice from them. Not quite confident they could take the rest of the race on one set of tyres. Thomas now up to P3. Out of Pont de la Concorde. He got a better run. And now Stone Cold going deep. And Thomas rocketing forward. Holds Mungo side by side with that Ferrari now. Into turn 10. Oh, was the McLaren behind? Williams brakes just a little too late. Causes a domino effect there. And now Hijab, our championship leader, trying to hold on to his advantage. Lets that one go. Shaggy gets another fastest lap, a 1 minute 12.9, just a few seconds behind what was done in qualifying. And Hijab finding himself still stuck behind this McLaren, while Thomas desperately charging forward because he needs this race win. He needs something to happen to Hijab if he wants this championship. Now, of course, any of the results up to this point could have gone differently. He could have had less of a points disadvantage, but he is where he is. Hijab now through on Williams. P6 for the Williams. As it stands right now, I believe the Constructors' Championship would also be won by Williams. Now Mungo past Stone Cold. Hijab coming very close to the Wall of Champions, but backs out of that one. Behind him, the fight continues as a Haas goes into the barrier. Lewis hitting the Wall of Champions and bringing out the safety car for a third time. So, 10 drivers remain out of 15. That's only a 33.3 recurring percent retirement rate. And yet, 10 more laps remain, so there's even room for more. But the more important thing is that Hijab and Thomas, our two championship contenders, are still around. And the question of what's to be done about these pit strategies is up to the drivers. But I think we'll see some pit stops. There we go. T-Rex. The Aston Martin coming in. Mungo also coming in. So is Stone Cold. And Williams. And Outlaw. However, the championship fight is now on track in P2 and 3. Of course, if it was to end like this, Hijab would still win the championship. But it looks like Thomas hasn't been given many options of tyres to go back onto. If he's pitted twice already, let me give it a check. He has indeed. Both of them are pitted twice. Ideally, they wouldn't have to pit again. As the pack given more time to catch up. I believe we've now hit the safety car limit. We've had 2 VSCs. Or maybe 1 VSC. Either 1 or 2. And 3 safety cars. And this will be the final lap of safety car, hopefully, for the rest of the race. We have 8 laps remaining. There we go, safety car in this lap. 8 laps remaining. Will be 7 by the time we cross the line to go racing once more. And Shaggy, once again, will be the one leading us away. Becoming the de facto safety car when the real safety car pulls into the pits. And again, up to Shaggy when he decides to go. But it's gone just about now. Middle of the wall of champions. Everybody else getting ready for the turn. He's got a great getaway. Shaggy giving himself 5 or 6 tenths worth of space as the green flags come back out. Louis has left. Louis or Lewis. A Haas driver who found himself in the barrier at that wall of champions. You may never know what may happen to that man next season if the prophecy comes true. But he certainly set it up to do so. T-Rex and Mungo have gone to the softs. 5 other drivers on the mediums and 3 of them on the hards. And round the outside attempts, T-Rex hits the barrier on the attempt. Very brave from him as Mungo takes advantage. P6 now in contention as the Mercedes and the Aston Martin, same engine at this season at least. We've all seen how Honda's gone this year, but same engine at this attempt, different cars. And T-Rex does take it back. No DRS, of course, for this lap. We're given a 1 lap grace period at the end of a safety car. Thomas and Hijab now on track next to each other. Thomas knows that if Hijab is anywhere near him or are visible in his mirrors, then something's not quite right with his plan for the championship. And Hijab knows that just by being here, if it ended right now, the championship would be his. Sphinx, in the meantime, very late dive on the inside, trying to scare Old Shot down. Both Williams ahead of Stone Cold looking to seal the Constructors' Championship as well, as the fights continue. Sphinx to the inside of turn 8. Still side by side with the Williams as T-Rex tries to go in as well. It's now a 4-way fight for this position. 2 sets of 2 wide into turn 10. Late goes the Aston Martin. Tries to go into the middle. And cutting back. Trying to go for a very epic switchback. Some more collisions between the Williams and Mercedes. T-Rex gets up to P5 there from P7. And with DRS now goes further forward. Mungo and All Shot down side by side as they go straight back to single file. All Shot down now with some wing damage. Missing that front right end plate. The Williams not quite built like that, but being raced like that. Now T-Rex trying to stick his nose into turn 2. Unsuccessfully for now, but the soft tyre treating him extremely well. And now into the Pont de la Concorde. Try to go side by side, and again, attempt failed. But every single attempt while the tyres are softer is important. Going for a switch back on the exit of turn 7. A different line, hopefully some cleaner air. DRS now. And Aston Martin on Mercedes. A Sphinx gets a penalty. Now, Sphinx with a 3-second penalty renders Hijab the only driver without one. Hijab, while we were watching this fight, made his way up to second, ahead of Thomas, and as it stands, would even inherit the race win. Shaggy with 9 seconds of penalties hasn't done himself a huge favour. But there we go. Penalties across the grid. As now holds Mungo. Finding himself blocked in by his own teammate. Around the both of them he goes into the inside of turn 2. And that's not quite it. Mungo spun around. 3 wide into turn 1. Very ambitious. Maybe too ambitious. Down to 9th for that Mercedes. The Sphinx up in 4th. T-Rex in 5th. And All Shot down in 6th. Now Stone Cold. 5-lap tyre advantage on All Shot down. And the Ferrari looks aggressive. Another yellow flag is it to Mercedes. Mungo once more out of turn 7. In the barrier. Any damage? No. So recovery is possible. Outlaw pits for the softs. To continue the race as T-Rex and Sphinx gonna have one more fight down the back straight. And DRS for the Aston, so close. Stone Cold with a 4th warning. And T-Rex, the soft tyres, hoping they'll be good enough, but they're slowly running out of grip. Slowly running out of potential. He made an aggressive tyre choice. He had a very limited time to make moves in. Is it too late? As Sphinx takes the inside of turn 10, hoping to defend. Now is when we'll find out if that works. But from what it looks like, it may just. As here we go. Into the Wall of Champions. T-Rex defended. But DRS now, the second stage. T-Rex round the outside and into turn 1 now. He is ahead. Now the question is how long for? Given that those soft tyres won't last forever. Battle after battle through the midfield now. We have 2 laps remaining. And now, the penultimate lap begun for Shaggy. Now the laps don't last too long around here, 1 minute 10 or so. As Sphinx and T-Rex go at it once more. The Aston Martin down the inside. But does he have the grip for a drag race? He might not. Around the outside goes the Mercedes. No contact made. Line compromise. T-Rex holds on. Now everybody's going to get even more desperate. As if it wasn't bad enough. The moves have been plenty aggressive already. But now there's a time limit. And it's growing ever closer. And now Sphinx around T-Rex. The tyres changing around. And after 8 laps on the softs, the mediums might just be the better option. No DRS for the Aston Martin. Trying to go around the outside for turn 1 again. Doesn't find himself with the space. Didn't move fast enough to take it either. Stone Cold, stuck behind, all shot down. Has been for a few laps now. As T-Rex starts dropping behind. Shaggy. Another penalty. That's 12 seconds for him. And we have a yellow flag as Mungo through turn 1. 9 laps on those soft tyres will do that to you. Just a slide. And now Hijab back into first. A Shaggy with 12 seconds of penalties and 19 lap old tyres. We're on the final lap, and it's this time around the Hijab not only won it on track, but won it by a landslide, no penalties, a pole position, very well maintained, and that is the championship for Hijab. Very well done from him. The silver division is his today. Thomas, he was second in the championship, came second in the race. A great recovery from last. And an incredible driver, regardless of victory of overall championship. Shaggy P comes third, Sphinx fourth, Stone Cold fifth, T-Rex sixth, All Shot Down seventh, Williams the Conquer in eighth. And the final 2, Mungo across the line to take P9. And finally, last but not least, nobody's outlaw, the final lap of the season, and that is the silver division all wrapped up. The Constructors' Championship goes to Williams, and the Drivers' Championship goes to a driver in that team by the name of Hijab. An incredibly well managed race from him today. The only driver who finished not to receive a penalty for track limits. Just incredibly solid driving all around, not to mention the pace. So well done from him. He took race winner, of course. Fastest lap went to Shaggy P. Driver of the day, Sphinx, and most overtakes in Hijab. Cleanest driver. Sphinx going from 9th to 4th, but bear in mind, Thomas fell all the way down to 15th after an incident, came all the way back up to 2nd, and for that, I would award him driver of the day any day. Here is your finishing order. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back next season with some even better racing. See you then, and thank you so much for being with us in Canada.